Hello everyone, in this video series we're going to be making this lovely magazine rack with built-in toilet roll holder thing. Now, word of warning, or maybe a heads up, this series started off as an instructional thing, but then it eventually progresses into can Matt actually make this work, because the design, there was a few issues with it here and there. So yeah, I'm happy to have you on the journey with me, and yeah, enjoy. So I've got the blank wood behind me here, which is what we're going to turn into our bulk roll holder slash magazine rack sort of thing. So this was just purchased from a DIY store, nothing special, it's just some of the manky stuff off the shelf. The only thing I did was just make sure I was picking up some of the nice boards that didn't have any horrible like resiny bits, didn't have too many knots in them, were relatively straight. It's difficult to get these so they are dead straight, especially the way they are stored. It's like upright like that. You're going to struggle to get one of these straight, but by the time we cut it into shorter lengths, so into its actual components, obviously that curve is going to be less prominent and it should be relatively flat. We'll judge it when it comes to it. The only other thing to check is that it's not stupidly twisted as well, because bowed is one thing, but when the board starts twisting along its length, that's when you got to start thinking, ugh. These boards are relatively nice, not too bad, I'm happy with them. So first thing we're going to do is chop them into their rough lengths, well slightly oversized because then we can finish it off afterwards. Then we're going to establish a face side and face edge, plane the face edge so that it's nice and square, and glue these two wider boards together to make the sides of our magazine rack thingy. So firstly we're going to do that, but I forgot to bring the drawings with me today, so I'm just going to assume that I kind of did it based around the size of a magazine. So I mean, it would be about that big hopefully. This is about 300 mil, so if I cut these components to 350 and then I'll go back home later and hope that it's the right size. So anyway, I'm going to stop chatting rubbish and we'll get cutting these to size. So it's worth saying that the timber I have here is 70 millimeters wide and 18 millimeters thick, and I've got 2.5 meters of it. And 18 millimeters is a pretty common thickness that you'll find in a DIY merchant or something like that. The width may vary, but these two are 70 millimeters wide, so I'll join them together and get just under 140 by the time I've jointed the edge. So I know I've got 3 uprights to do, and like I say, I'm going to make these 350 mil long. So what I'm going to do to make grain continuity good and all that is I'm going to make all of these out of one of these sides. So I've got a nice tight grain on this one, and then it goes to something wide. So I could probably recreate it so it looks like it's actually one solid bit of timber. Because if you look at crown cut timber, you'll see that it's got tight grain on the outside, and then it's got what you call a cathedral pattern in the middle. So if we join this in a way that you've got the tight grain on the outside and it gets wider in the middle, once you join them together, it's going to kind of look like a solid board anyway. Starting from the end, let's measure down 350 mil, about there. Check we've got no horrible bits that are going to cause us issues. So we do have a big knot there. That could be problematic. It looks a little bit, no, it's not a dead knot, but it is split. It doesn't look the nicest thing in the world. Right, let's start. That can be our starter point then. We're going to chop it off there. We can save this for one of the horizontal shelves. So 350 mil from this point. So one cut there. So I'm going to need 6 of these lengths all together. So hopefully I've got enough here. I don't think I do. And that one is right on the knot there, but that doesn't look too bad, that one. I think we'll keep him. And what we're left with here, 330, of course, so I'm 20 mil too short. We'll save that for one of the horizontal shelves. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then I can just steal one length from this middle one, and we'll make this the middle divider. Okay, and let's just label these real quick. So up, up, up. Nope, not that one. Okay, now we'll do the horizontal shelves below the magazine racks. So this is where I could use this little bit on the end. So I know that paper is about 210 mil wide, so yeah, and then I need to add on 18 millimeters either side to take into account the uprights that we're going to have on here as well. So yeah, that should be enough. What is it up to the edge of that knot? 280. That's what will make these long components for now, and then we'll chop them to their final length afterwards. So 280 on that one, then we can use that little odd end that we got. Oh, we've got a little bit left over on there as well, haven't we? Yes, square across. Happy days. So we're using pretty much this entire length. That's very good. So then that's the shelves marked out below the magazine rack. So now we just need to work out the size of the shelves that are going to be above the toilet roll holder. So what we're going to do is just pretend that this is toilet roll. I would never even dream of using this as toilet roll. So I reckon if I cut 2 lots of 300 mil, stick them on the side, then cut them in half, I'll have 2 shorter shelves that should be all right. That'll give me 150 mil. I don't think toilet roll is 150 mil. I really should have got the drawings ready for this. And then I am left over with leftover timber, just in case all of those measurements are wrong. But like I say, the drawings for this will be in the description below, so you can have a look at that, just in case I am terribly wrong with this. And as you saw at the start, this material is quite bowed and relatively twisted as well, but by the time we cut it into these shorter lengths, I think most of that will come out. If not, then I'll have to just start planing it flat as well, which I'll show you how to do. So with this, there's no waste side of the line. I'm literally just cutting directly on the line, starting at the back edge like that, and then I'm going to lower the saw down so it's a lot easier to follow the line from back to front, as opposed to placing the saw and just trying to cut through the entire component while lining the saw up. If you start at the back like that, it means that you can just work your way back and follow that line as you go. So looking at some of these, I think they are quite cupped still, so they're actually cupped this way. There was a little bit of bowing along the length, but by the time we cut it down, it was all fine. It's now this that is the issue. So it looks like we're going to have to plane them flat, which is going to be a long old task, but such is the joys of buying timber from DIY merchants.